Hi, I'm Fred Smith. I work for the government and I'm here to avoid answering your questions about Sparrows of Kabul. Starting with, who is Fred Smith? Well, I'm a diplomat with a songwriting problem. This problem got so bad that my employer started sending me to places where I might get shot, like Bougainville, Solomon Islands, more recently, Afghanistan. I was the first Australian diplomat to work alongside our troops in Uruzgan province, and the last to leave. While I was there, I played concerts and wrote a collection of songs. These songs ended up on an album called Dust of Uruzgan. Then I wrote a book called Dust of Uruzgan. Then I built a stage show called Dust of Uruzgan, which I toured to 80 venues around the country between 2014 and 2019. In March 2020, the pandemic hit, and the stress of being a full-time folk singer got too much for me. I needed a bit of peace and quiet, so I went back to Afghanistan. I was working at the Australian Embassy in Kabul. It was great, until August last year, when these guys came to town. So I found myself working on Australia's mission to evacuate visa and passport holders from Kabul International Airport. Here's a photo of me at the north gate of that airport on the morning of 19th of August. In my right hand is my trusty iPhone 6, and this is some of the footage I shot that morning. It was shocking. I've never seen such deep desperation. Suffice to say, it was a pretty intense couple of weeks, after which I went straight into hotel quarantine in Adelaide's beigest hotel. I was still buzzing, sleeping 3 hours a night. And in that time, in that 2-week period, I wrote 2 songs, a 3-page poem, and a 90,000-word book. Then I blended those new songs and stories in with the original Dust of Uruzgan show to create Sparrows of Kabul. We first performed at the 600-seat Canberra Playhouse to a sellout crowd on the 17th of February 2022, and I've been playing it around the country ever since. So what is Sparrows of Kabul? Well, it's me, a band, a screen, offering a personal account of Australia's experience in Afghanistan through a combination of song, imagery, and story. This seems to work really well. And the overall effect is a vivid, credible, and fairly complete account of our 20-year involvement in Afghanistan. What are the songs about? Well, the songs are the beating heart of the show, and each is written from a different point of view. Some from my point of view, some from the point of view of Australian soldiers, and some from the point of view of Afghan women. This approach has 3 effects. Firstly, it offers multiple perspectives. The best way to get a 3-dimensional understanding of anything is to look at it from different perspectives. Secondly, music, as you know, is magic. It has a unique way of getting under people's defences and helping them feel their feelings. And finally, this combination of seeing things through other people's eyes and feeling what their hearts might have felt creates the possibility of empathy. And it is through empathy that we grow beyond ourselves into a sense of belonging to the world we live in. What is the audience experience? Well, it's more than a concert. It's an immersive experience. It moves people to question and understand, to think and to feel, and creates a sense of connection between people in Australia and people in Afghanistan. Is it sad? Shit, yeah. But that's life, and the purpose of art is to help people feel their feelings. My experience of touring this show has been that people want to feel their feelings about our involvement in Afghanistan. I would add that the journey I take people on is considerably lightened by comedy, and that the overall effect of the performance seems to be uplifting. My experience has been that the show works as well with my hippie friends up in Katherine as it does at Enoggera Barracks. that it opens up more minds than it closes, that it starts more conversations than it ends, and that people stick around after the show discussing and asking me questions. Will it work in your venue? Yes. I've played this show in every kind of venue you can imagine, working with musicians and singers I have stashed around the country. Will people come and see it? Yes, for 4 reasons. First, people in this country have a deep fascination with the experiences of Australians at war, partly because they have fathers or grandfathers who served in World War II or in Vietnam. And many, of course, had sons, daughters, husbands, wives, nephews, cousins who served in Afghanistan. Second, people in this country have a deep appetite to understand the events they saw unfold on the TV screens in August last year. Third, this is the kind of show that networks seem to naturally get behind: Rotary, RSLs, veteran support groups, refugee support groups. And finally, I'll help you sell it. I've got a profile and a 12,000 strong email list here in Australia. I love the media, and the media loves a meaty story. I've got a Dropbox full of promotional collateral, including a teacher's resource pack and an Australian story documentary. You hate Dropbox? No problem. I've got the same stuff on a Google Drive. Does this show matter? I think it does. 35,000 young Australians served in Afghanistan over the last 20 years. I think it's important we understand their experiences so they don't walk the land as strangers in a way that a generation of Vietnam veterans did. And in the end, we worked our asses off on that evacuation. We got 4,100 people out, most of whom now live in Australia. Anyway, I've spent most of the last 10 years either living or telling this story, possibly to the detriment of my career as a foreign affairs officer, because it's a story that's dear to my heart and a story I think Australians should hear. Happily, I'm not the only one who thinks so. This is an important Australian story and one I'd love to bring to your community. Please get in touch with me directly or speak to Colleen Dixon, who is here today to testify.